Welcome to Science in Sleeping. I'm so glad you're here tonight. It's time to slow down, breathe, and let the noise of the day fade into the distance. Tonight, we're drifting into something a little mysterious, a little wondrous, and very, very soothing. We're going to explore the calm side of curiosity, the gentle edges of the unknown. Because tonight's story is about UFOs, UAP, and the serene science that surrounds them. Now, don't worry, there's nothing to fear here. No flashing lights, no conspiracy theories. Just the quiet hum of the cosmos, the soft rhythm of the night sky, and the human wonder that always looks up and asks, what's out there? This is Science in Sleeping, a space where science meets stillness, where every mystery becomes a lullaby, and where curiosity itself becomes the most peaceful bedtime companion. Maybe you're lying in bed right now, the room dim, the air cool and still, your phone softly glowing beside you. Maybe you've had a long day, a day full of thoughts that refuse to slow down. Emails, tasks, conversations that still echo in your head. But for now, none of that matters, because you're here. And this time belongs completely to you. You don't have to focus. You don't even have to stay awake. You don't need to remember any of this when morning comes. Just let the words flow like a gentle current, something soft and slow that carries you deeper into calm. If you're new to Science in Sleeping, welcome. This is your place to rest, to learn, and to dream. If you've been here before, welcome back. You're part of a growing community of gentle thinkers, people who love to fall asleep, not to silence, but to meaning. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Maybe it's late at night, midnight, 1, maybe even 2. Maybe you're in London, or Sydney, or Karachi, or somewhere quiet in the middle of nowhere, where the stars are clearer than city lights, where the night itself feels like an old, kind friend. And as you listen, know that you're not alone. There are thousands of others, drifting off to the same voice, to the same cosmic lullaby, to the same calm curiosity that connects us all. Tonight's journey is about more than strange lights or flying objects. It's about wonder itself, the ancient human habit of looking up at the night sky and feeling that blend of awe and peace. It's about how science helps us translate that feeling, not to explain it away, but to understand it more deeply, because sometimes understanding is the most peaceful thing of all. So take a deep breath, let your body sink into the mattress. Feel the sheets soften around you. Unclench your jaw, loosen your shoulders. Let your breathing slow to a rhythm that feels natural, steady, calm, and gentle. You're safe here. You're at peace, and soon we'll be floating among stars, exploring the soothing side of the unknown, where UFOs and UAPs become not a source of fear, but of fascination, of comfort, of quiet curiosity. So, as the night settles deeper around you, and the world outside your room fades into silence, close your eyes if you haven't already. Let the sound of my voice blur softly at the edges. And when you're ready, we'll begin our journey together, through calm science, gentle mystery, and the peaceful infinite above. Welcome, my friend, to Science in Sleeping. And to tonight's story, Soothing UFO and Alien Phenomena Explained. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to look up at the night sky and see something you couldn't quite explain? Not something frightening, not something loud or chaotic, but something quiet, distant, and full of grace. a light that moves differently from the stars. A slow dance across the heavens that feels both impossibly far and strangely personal. Maybe you've had that moment, standing beneath a clear sky, feeling both very small and profoundly connected to something vast. That subtle curiosity, that mix of wonder and peace, is where our journey begins tonight. Picture yourself standing at the edge of an open field, somewhere far from city lights. The grass is cool beneath your feet, the air soft and still. Above you, the stars shimmer like tiny drops of memory. You can see the arc of the Milky Way, faint but alive, a slow river of light winding through the darkness. There's a gentle hum in the distance, maybe just the wind, maybe your own breathing merging with the rhythm of night. And then, as your eyes adjust, you notice it, a light moving differently, silently, with purpose. Not a plane, not a satellite, just something, else. It drifts, pauses, glows faintly blue, then vanishes like a thought you almost remembered. You don't feel fear. You feel calm, as if the universe just blinked back at you. For centuries, humans have looked upward and seen things they couldn't name. Long before we called them UFOs, people spoke of glowing chariots, celestial visitors, or fires that moved across the horizon without smoke or sound. But what if most of these mysteries are not intrusions from elsewhere, but gentle reminders of how much we still have to learn? When scientists study unidentified aerial phenomena, they often begin not with disbelief, but with curiosity, the same kind that lives in you right now. As you listen and breathe, many of those lights have simple, earthly explanations, and yet those explanations are no less beautiful. Some are meteor trails, tiny fragments of cosmic dust burning silently as they brush against Earth's upper atmosphere. Each one a brief whisper from a comet that might have traveled for millions of years. Some are satellites catching sunlight long after sunset, reflecting gold and silver glimmers as they glide in orderly paths around the planet. And sometimes, temperature layers in the sky bend light in ways our eyes can't predict, making distant aircraft seem closer, turning a planet on the horizon into a hovering orb. Science, when spoken softly, isn't about removing mystery. It's about seeing it more clearly, more kindly. The term UFO, unidentified flying object, was never meant to mean alien spacecraft. It simply meant something seen, but not yet understood. Even today, the modern term UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomenon, keeps that sense of neutrality, an open space for curiosity. Researchers gather radar data, atmospheric readings, pilot reports, and even camera footage from the International Space Station, not to prove anything extraordinary, but to understand our skies with just a little more honesty. Because our atmosphere is alive, it shimmers with static, with particles, with motion, and in that living air, light behaves like water, bending, shifting, reflecting, flowing. To study that is to study beauty itself. Did you know that a single meteor, no bigger than a grain of sand, can glow brighter than an entire city's skyline for a fraction of a second? Or that at high altitudes, charged particles from the sun collide with molecules in our atmosphere to paint the auroras, those soft curtains of green and violet light that ripple like breath across the poles. Many of the strange lights people once feared were simply nature's quiet art. seen before science had the language to name it. But still, naming does not erase wonder. If anything, it deepens it. When you learn what creates a rainbow, it doesn't become less beautiful. It becomes a miracle you can understand. And so, as we drift further into this night, the idea of UFOs becomes less about objects and more about the act of seeing the small, tender miracle of curiosity itself. Because curiosity is one of the most peaceful states the mind can hold. It doesn't demand answers. It just invites you to notice. And when you're noticing, you're present, right here, right now, exactly where your breath is, exactly where the stars have always been. You might imagine the early astronomers of history lying on their backs just as you are now, looking up with naked eyes. Before telescopes, before electricity, before satellites or aircraft, they saw the same lights you see, and they, too, wondered what lived beyond. Some thought they were souls of ancestors, others the lanterns of unseen travelers. And in a way, they were all right, because every light you see in the sky is a story older than our species. Every photon that touches your eyes tonight began its journey long before humans spoke language. And when you see something strange, a flicker, a pulse, a drifting motion, you're watching the choreography of space and time played out on the stage of your imagination. That's not deception. That's poetry in motion. The sky has always spoken to us in riddles, and perhaps it always will. If aliens exist, and maybe they do, they're likely bound by the same physics that cradle our own world. They, too, would know gravity, the pull of orbit, the beauty of light scattering through a thin blue sky. And maybe that's the quiet comfort in all of this, whatever else may exist out there. We are all woven from the same universal fabric: starlight, dust, and time. The cosmos is not other, it is us. So, as you breathe and feel the rhythm of your chest rise and fall, know that you are part of that same rhythm. The carbon in your body once burned in the heart of a dying star. The oxygen in your lungs was shaped by ancient trees. Even the thoughts floating softly through your half-dreaming mind are tiny sparks of electrical energy, dancing in patterns that mirror the constellations themselves. When you look up and see the unknown, you're seeing your reflection scattered across the heavens. And isn't that a peaceful thought? That the unknown is not a stranger, but a mirror made of light. That perhaps what we call unidentified is simply what we haven't yet learned to love by name. So let the wonder settle softly around you. Let your breathing match the rhythm of the stars. Each inhale a gathering of light, each exhale a quiet. There's nothing to prove tonight, nothing to understand completely, only the beauty of asking and the peace that comes from letting the question remain as the music beneath my voice begins to soften. Imagine that faint blue light again, the one you saw at the edge of the field. It drifts once more across the horizon, but this time it feels familiar. Like an old friend waving goodbye, or perhaps good night. And as it fades, you feel your body grow heavy, your thoughts slower, your heartbeat calm. You are safe. You are connected. You are part of the quiet mystery of everything. And from that feeling, we'll drift onward from the gentle history of UFOs to the delicate science of light itself. The way photons, atoms, and atmosphere create the illusions and wonders that decorate our sky each night. So stay where you are, breathe softly, and let the story continue to unfold. Like a constellation slowly forming in your dreams, have you ever noticed how light seems to play tricks on you, especially at night, when the world grows quiet and the sky feels almost alive? A faint glimmer where nothing should be, a shimmer near the edge of your vision, a star that seems to move when you don't look at it directly. It's easy to imagine something otherworldly at work, but perhaps the truth is even more beautiful. Light, you see, is both a traveler and a storyteller. Every photon that reaches your eyes tonight has taken an incredible journey, some from nearby street lamps, some from distant stars that died before Earth even formed, and some from sources so far away their glow has been stretched thin by time itself. What you see in the sky is never just a picture, it's a conversation between your eyes and the universe. Picture yourself now, lying in a quiet desert. The horizon stretches wide and clean, the sand cool beneath your hands. The air is crisp, filled with the faint scent of dust and stillness. As night settles, the stars come alive, not just points, but stories written across an ocean of space. Some blink softly, others burn steady and white, but in the distance, a single glimmer moves ever so slightly. You squint, it drifts, pauses, flickers, blue, then red. It's almost alive. A UFO, perhaps, or something even stranger. What you're witnessing is not a trick, it's physics, performing poetry. The atmosphere above you is never still. It bends, shifts, and dances with invisible layers of temperature and motion. When light passes through those shifting layers, it refracts, splitting and curving just enough to make a distant star appear to move, or a planet shimmer like it's breathing. This delicate bending of light is called scintillation, and it's the reason stars twinkle and planets do not. The air above you acts like a living lens, bending and reshaping the image you see every fraction of a second, even closer to Earth. Light bends in ways that spark human imagination. When the air near the surface is warmer or cooler than the air above it, it can create a mirage, a reflection of light that looks like water on a desert road or a ghostly ship hovering above the sea. Sailors once called these floating ships Fata Morgana, believing they were glimpses of other worlds. In truth, they were glimpses of our own scene through the delicate lens of air and heat. But our planet doesn't stop there. Sometimes it becomes a magician of light and movement. Have you ever heard of ball lightning? A glowing orb of plasma that can appear during storms, drifting silently, sometimes entering rooms, hovering for seconds before fading away. For centuries, witnesses feared it was supernatural until scientists learned it might be created by charged particles trapped in rotating electromagnetic fields. Each glowing sphere, a rare, luminous breath from the Earth's electric heart. And then there are the rare sprites, not mythical ones, but enormous bursts of red light that flash high above thunderstorms. They look like jellyfish floating miles above the clouds, a silent ballet of electricity that dances where the air is too thin to thunder. Pilots have seen them, astronauts have filmed them, and even now they remain part mystery, part miracle. Every time we discover something new about light, it only seems to make the universe more magical, not less. You might be surprised to learn that our eyes themselves help create illusions of light. The human retina is a sensitive storyteller. It fills in gaps, exaggerates motion, and softens stillness into meaning. When you stare at a bright star for too long, your eyes begin to dance slightly without your awareness. The light, filtered through the liquid lens of your eye, seems to flicker, wander, pulse, not because it's moving, but because you are alive. Even your heartbeat, pushing blood gently through the capillaries of your retina, creates the faintest shimmer in what you see. So perhaps, in every UFO sighting, there's not just science above us, but the quiet rhythm of our own biology below. There's a quiet irony in this, that the universe communicates through imperfection. The tiny bending of air, the tremor of light, the trembling pulse of human sight, all combine to make the sky appear alive. And in that illusion, there's something deeply comforting. Because when the stars seem to move, it's as if the cosmos is breathing with you. Did you know that some of the most famous UFO reports occurred during what scientists call temperature inversions, when a warm layer of air traps cooler air beneath it, creating the perfect conditions for optical distortions? Radar signals bend, lights reflect in strange patterns, and distant objects appear to hover or move unnaturally. Even military pilots have seen such phenomena, and later discovered they were watching reflections of starlight, distant cities, or even their own signals mirrored back. The mystery remains, not because it's false, but because it's fleeting, like a dream that science can almost, but not quite, hold on to. Imagine now that same desert again. The night has deepened. The stars feel closer, more personal. You see faint streaks of light tracing the horizon, meteor fragments entering the atmosphere, flaring white, yellow, and green as they disintegrate. Each one burns for less than a second, but the light you see is ancient, older than the oceans, a whisper from the cosmic past. Somewhere beyond the rim of visibility, satellites glide in perfect silence. If you were to watch long enough, you might see one suddenly brighten, then fade, not because it changed speed, but because sunlight caught its metal surface just right, and then slipped away. This is how the sky speaks, through glimmers and guesses, through illusions and truth intertwined. And perhaps that's what makes it so soothing to gaze upon, because in its shifting lights, we see both mystery and order, chaos and calm, the infinite and the intimate all at once. If you look closely enough, you'll find that every photon carries a secret. When it touches your eyes, it tells a story billions of years old, of birth, of distance, of transformation. And maybe that's what makes us so drawn to the unexplained. We aren't searching for aliens in the dark. We're searching for connection, for evidence that the universe sees us too. And yet, even with all our science, the universe still keeps some secrets. There are lights we still can't explain, events that defy instruments and logic, patterns in radar data that appear then vanish. But what if that uncertainty is the point? What if the unknown itself is part of the human design, something that keeps us wondering, keeps us gentle, keeps us dreaming? So, as you lie here now, listening to the slow rhythm of your breath, imagine the atmosphere above you, a vast, invisible ocean of air, where light bends, ripples, and drifts like water. Every ray that reaches your eyes tonight has passed through countless tiny storms of temperature and dust, twisted and softened until it became a small, moving glow in the darkness. It's not a deception. It's a kind of kindness, the way the universe lets us see its dance. Not in perfection, but in shimmer. And when you next look up, maybe you'll remember this quiet truth, that the light in the sky isn't there to startle you awake, but to guide you softly toward wonder. Each flicker a lullaby, each shimmer a heartbeat, each mystery an invitation to rest. Now breathe, and let your thoughts drift outward into the quiet layers of air above you, where light moves like silk and curiosity hums like a gentle wind. Because in the next part of our journey, we'll follow those lights even farther beyond the clouds, past the edge of the atmosphere, to where the human eye can no longer see, and only instruments and dreams can follow. Have you ever wondered what astronauts see when they close their eyes in orbit? Far above Earth, where the air fades into silence and the sky is no longer blue, there are lights that no atmosphere can bend, and shadows that move in ways no weather can explain. Up there, above the clouds and storms, the boundary between known and unknown becomes a thin, trembling line, and even the most rational minds sometimes whisper, "What was that?" Imagine floating high above the planet, inside a quiet capsule where every sound feels sacred. The hum of oxygen systems, the soft click of instruments, the distant pulse of your own heartbeat echoing through your suit. Outside the window, endless blackness, and a curved horizon glowing faintly blue. Below, continents drift in silence. Lightning flashes in slow motion across the dark oceans, and city lights flicker like constellations built by human hands. Then, from the edge of vision, a light moves, not a star, not a satellite, something smooth, deliberate, gliding against the current of Earth's rotation. You blink, refocus, hold your breath, and it's gone. Just like that, vanished into the dark. For decades, astronauts and cosmonauts have reported such moments. Not of terror, not of certainty, but of quiet awe. Strange lights that shift near the edge of the atmosphere. Objects that appear to pace the station. Brief flashes of brightness where no reflection should be. Most of them, upon investigation, turn out to be small pieces of orbital debris. Glints of sunlight reflecting off metal fragments drifting thousands of miles per hour. But sometimes, even scientists have to pause, because not every glimmer fits the data neatly. Take the story of Major Gordon Cooper, one of the original Mercury astronauts. During his 1963 mission, as he orbited Earth for the final time, he reported seeing a greenish light moving toward his capsule, visible on radar, yet silent and smooth. Ground control saw it too. Later explanations ranged from reflections to misread data, but Cooper's calm, unwavering account still lingers in the archives of human wonder. And then there's the footage, the kind captured not by imagination but by instruments. In 2005, cameras aboard the space shuttle Discovery filmed small, bright objects floating near the craft, moving in strange, darting paths before vanishing beyond frame. NASA analyzed the clips, concluding they were likely ice particles illuminated by sunlight, tiny frozen crystals, breaking free from the shuttle's surface. Yet for those who've watched the footage, the motion feels alive, like the universe breathing in microcosm. These aren't stories of fear, they're stories of perception. When you remove the comfort of Earth, its air, its familiar frame of reference, light behaves differently, sound vanishes, and movement becomes a matter of perspective. what seems to accelerate might only be you drifting in the opposite direction. What looks vast could be a speck close enough to touch. Space, for all its emptiness, is full of gentle illusions that remind us how small and tender our senses really are now. Picture this: you're drifting outside the station on a night pass. The planet beneath you wrapped in darkness, the stars above sharp and countless. From this vantage point, there's no atmosphere to soften their light. Each one burns pure, unblinking, ancient. And as you turn your gaze toward the sunlit edge of the world, you see something luminous, oval, moving silently along the limb of Earth. It's not a reflection. It moves too independently, a calm pulse of light gliding just above the atmosphere. For a moment, you forget where you are, and all that exists is that silent companion coasting through infinity beside you. And then, as if shy, it fades into sunlight, leaving only a memory behind. Science calls this phenomenon when the sun's light bounces from the planet's surface, illuminating particles or debris orbiting nearby. The glow appears alive, but it's simply sunlight performing one of its oldest tricks, painting everything it touches with meaning. Even so, the experience leaves a mark, because in that moment, you've glimpsed the edge of understanding and found peace in not knowing. It's humbling to realize that even our best instruments, even our brightest minds, are still children compared to the universe. Every telescope we build, every sensor we launch, sees just a little more, but never all. There are wavelengths of light our eyes can't perceive, particles that slip through matter like ghosts, energies that ripple across time like whispers. So when we see something unexplained, it might not mean alien, it might simply mean deeper, a signal from the edge of what we're able to see. Did you know that the human eye can only perceive less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum? All the colors, all the lights, all the brilliance of every sunrise and nebula fit into that tiny fraction. Beyond it lie waves of infrared and ultraviolet, microwaves and X-rays, gamma bursts and radio songs, a silent symphony surrounding us always, just beyond the reach of vision. If we could see it all, the night sky would not be black. It would shimmer with energy, alive with invisible music. Sometimes I think that's what we sense when we feel that sudden hush under the stars. That awareness that something vast is watching with us. It's not fear, it's recognition. We are made of the same particles that carry that light. We are the dust that became eyes, looking back at the universe that birthed us. And maybe that's why we keep looking upward, searching not for answers, but for reflection. Even within space agencies, there's a quiet curiosity about what remains unexplained. NASA, the European Space Agency, even military observers, they collect data not to dismiss wonder, but to give it shape. The calm pursuit of truth is not about closing doors, it's about opening windows into the unknown. Each piece of footage, each report, is like a small note in a cosmic diary. A reminder that even after all these centuries, the sky still holds secrets worth whispering about. And perhaps that's what keeps us dreaming. If every light were explained, if every mystery were solved, we might lose the gentle pull that draws us to look upward each night. The unknown gives shape to our imagination. It reminds us that there's always more to learn, more to love, more to hope for. Now, Let yourself drift in that thought, you, floating above the earth, your body weightless, your mind quiet. Below you, the planet glows with city lights and lightning storms. Above you, infinity waits, silent, shimmering, endless. Somewhere in that vast sea, there may be other eyes, watching their own skies, wondering the same gentle question, are we alone? But perhaps the answer doesn't matter, because in the asking, we are already connected. As you breathe slowly, you might imagine those distant civilizations, if they exist, not as invaders or mysteries, but as dreamers, beings made of light and curiosity, resting under their own skies, listening, wondering, drifting. Maybe they, too, gaze at their horizon and see faint glimmers they cannot name. Maybe they call it earthlight, and that thought, that symmetry of wonder, is the most peaceful realization of all. That curiosity is universal, that the unknown binds us, not divides us, that every glowing light across the sky, whether it's a star, a satellite, or a fleeting illusion, is a small act of connection between everything that exists. So, as this module draws to a close, let the edges of thought soften. Let your body sink deeper into rest, like an astronaut gently drifting into sleep, tethered only by trust. The hum of the world fades, the stars begin to blur, and somewhere beyond sight, the next chapter of the universe waits quietly, patiently, ready to reveal itself when you wake, slow and deep, and let the stillness take you farther, past orbit, past light, toward the next mystery, a place where dreams and galaxies intertwine, and the line between sleeping and exploring disappears into infinity. Have you ever wondered if the universe ever sleeps? If the galaxies that twirl in endless spirals ever grow tired of spinning? Or if the stars themselves, after burning for billions of years, ever drift into a peaceful rest, a cosmic slumber beyond time? It's a strange thought, isn't it? We humans need sleep to reset our minds, to heal, to dream. But what about the universe, the grandest system of all? Could it too have rhythms of wakefulness and rest, of expansion and stillness, of creation and silence? Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine standing at the edge of a quiet desert at midnight. The air is cold, dry, and still. Above you stretches the sky, not a ceiling, but an ocean of black velvet scattered with islands of fire. Each point of light, a sun older than memory. The Milky Way flows overhead like a river of frozen time. You feel small, yes, but also infinite, as if your very breath is part of the same rhythm that moves those stars across eternity. And maybe it is, because everything in existence, from your heartbeat to the birth of galaxies, follows a pattern, an inhale and an exhale, activity and rest, energy and stillness. The universe, too, has its own kind of sleep. Astronomers call it thermal equilibrium, a time when a star, having burned through its hydrogen, slows down, cools, and fades. A white dwarf, then a black dwarf, a body that no longer shines, but still exists, quietly keeping its shape in the darkness. It is, in its own way, asleep. Did you know that even galaxies rest? They are born in storms of light and gas, colliding, merging, tearing themselves apart. But after ages, when their fuel runs low, they grow still. Star formation stops, dust settles, and they drift like glowing ghosts across cosmic night. They do not die. They simply slow down. They rest in the vast silence between galaxies, breathing in a rhythm too vast for us to feel. And perhaps, on some far-off cosmic scale, the entire universe itself follows this pattern. According to some cosmologists, there might come a time, billions upon billions of years from now, when every star has burned out, every planet has cooled, and all light has faded into a gentle darkness. They call it the heat death of the universe, a state of ultimate rest. No movement, no creation, no destruction, just silence. A final, eternal exhale. But here's the beautiful twist. Some scientists believe that after that long night, the universe might wake up again. Like lungs filling after a deep breath, the cosmic fabric could ripple, stretch, and give birth to new energy, a rebirth from the ashes of old light. It's the cycle of all things, from your sleeping cells to the sleeping galaxies. Everything rests so it can rise again. And in that rhythm, you are not separate. You are part of the same pulse. When you close your eyes at night, your body slows, your heartbeat steadies, and your brain waves drift into delta patterns, deep, restorative rhythms. At the same time, stars collapse, atoms fuse, and black holes hum with gravitational song. Different scales, same pattern. It's as though the universe is meditating through you. Now imagine drifting through space, past the dying embers of a sun, past fields of glowing nebulae where new stars are being born. Each one pulses like a heartbeat, a spark of life in the dark. You pass by a crimson giant, its outer layers shimmering like liquid fire. It expands, sighs, and releases clouds of gas that scatter into the void, creating the seeds for new worlds. This is the cosmic breath, life and death dancing endlessly together. And as you float farther, you enter the shadowed region near a black hole. Here, even light bends to silence. The laws of time and motion blur. And yet, at the edge of that darkness, particles shimmer in defiance, flashing like fireflies in eternity. Scientists call this Hawking radiation, the slow, elegant whisper of a dying giant. Even in its final rest, the universe still dreams. There's something deeply comforting in that thought, that even endings are gentle, that every collapse creates space for something new, just as sleep allows the brain to clean and renew itself. So too do galaxies dissolve to form the dust from which other stars are born. It's all one continuous act of letting go and beginning again. Have you ever felt that moment right before you fall asleep, when your thoughts stop making sense, when the world softens and your mind begins to drift into images and patterns that seem to belong to another realm? That's your consciousness crossing the threshold between wakefulness and the dream world. And in a way, that's exactly what happens on a cosmic scale. Energy shifts states. Matter transforms into light. Everything that is becomes something else. It's not destruction, it's transformation. Perhaps that's why sleep feels so sacred. It's a rehearsal for the universe's own rhythm. When you sleep, your body mirrors creation and rest. You dissolve into darkness and awaken renewed. Each night, you echo the cycle of stars. Now, think about this. What if the universe dreams too? What if the patterns we see, spirals, waves, orbits, are fragments of its imagination? The galaxies, like thoughts, drifting across the cosmic mind. The nebulae, its colorful dreams taking shape. and black holes, the pauses between those thoughts, moments of silence in an infinite meditation. Perhaps the Big Bang itself was the universe opening its eyes from a long slumber, and each of us, every star, every creature, is part of that awakening. There's a poetic beauty in science when you see it this way, because science doesn't destroy mystery, it deepens it. The more we understand, the more we realize how infinite it truly is. Every answer leads to another horizon, another question, and that endless curiosity, that search for meaning, is itself part of the universe breathing through us. So, as you lie here, listening, breathing slowly, let yourself imagine you are floating in the center of this great rhythm. Your heartbeat echoes the pulse of distant stars. Your breath matches the expansion and contraction of space itself. You are not small, you are essential, a note in the grand harmony of creation. And perhaps, somewhere out there, in another corner of the cosmos, a civilization is lying under their own stars, asking the same questions. They, too, feel that pull of wonder, that quiet awe of existence. They, too, rest under the same endless silence and dream of the same universe. Because wonder, like gravity, binds everything together. So drift now, not into nothingness, but into connection. Let your body sink. Let your mind unfold. The stars are resting. The galaxies are whispering. And the universe hums a lullaby, older than time. You are safe. You are infinite. You are part of the cosmic sleep, a moment of peace in the grand dream of existence. Breathe in the light of creation. Breathe out the stillness of eternity. And let the next story begin to form, somewhere just beyond the edge of thought, where the universe exhales and dreams are born. Have you ever wondered if the universe makes a sound? If space, the infinite void we call silent, actually hums, sings, or whispers? If somewhere beyond the edge of hearing, the stars are creating music too vast for us to detect? Imagine this: you're standing alone beneath a midnight sky, a soft wind moving through the grass, and above you, the constellations seem perfectly still. You see the stars, but you hear nothing. No music, no echo, just the deep quiet of night. And yet, there's something you feel, isn't there? A low vibration, not through your ears, but through your bones. A hum that's not a sound, but a presence. As if the universe itself is breathing around you. You might think of silence as empty, but science tells a different story. Silence, real silence, doesn't exist anywhere. Even in space, the cold vacuum between worlds, there are waves moving, fields vibrating, particles colliding like soft rain against invisible glass. And every one of those motions creates something, a frequency, a rhythm, a kind of music. Scientists have learned that space hums, literally. From the faint whispers of black holes to the gentle pulsing of magnetic fields, the cosmos is filled with vibrations. They're just not the kind we can hear with human ears. But if you could, if your hearing stretched across light, you'd be listening to a concert that never ends. NASA once captured a piece of this music. The electromagnetic waves of distant space converted into sound, a translation of invisible movement into audible form. And what they found was astonishing. Planets sing. Jupiter, for instance, produces a constant radio hum, a swirling, ghostly wail like wind through an endless canyon. Saturn's rings crackle like static fire, and the sun, though blazing with heat, sings in slow vibrations that ripple across its surface, each oscillation lasting for hours. These aren't random noises, they're the breathing of stars, the heartbeat of galaxies. Even black holes, those silent devourers of light, hum a deep, low note, a sound a trillion times lower than anything the human ear could perceive, stretching for light years across the void. Astronomers once found a black hole in the Perseus cluster, emitting a tone of 57 octaves below middle C, a note that if you could hear it would echo slower than the beating of your own heart. It's the universe's bass line, an eternal vibration that shakes the fabric of space itself. And when you listen to the hum of the cosmos, you begin to realize something profound. You are made of this same music. Every atom in your body vibrates. Your heart generates an electromagnetic rhythm. Your brain produces its own frequencies as you think, dream, and sleep. In a way, you are a microcosmic echo of the universe's great song. Did you know that even your sleep has its own rhythm of sound? When you enter deep rest, your brain waves slow to delta frequencies, less than 4 cycles per second. Soft, slow, almost like the deep hum of the cosmos. It's as if your mind tunes itself to the same frequency as creation's background melody. And that's no coincidence, it's resonance. The same principle that allows strings on a guitar to vibrate together, or galaxies to move in synchrony across unimaginable distances. Resonance is nature's way of saying we are connected. Now, imagine drifting through the darkness of space. Your body weightless, your breath steady, your heartbeat the only sound you can truly feel. Then, slowly, from the silence, a tone emerges, low, deep, unbroken. It vibrates through your chest, echoing against your ribs, spreading through your fingers like warm current. It's the song of the stars, not sung in words or melody, but in vibration, in the universal rhythm of being. As you move past the sleeping planets, you hear their songs blend together, a soft choir of magnetic pulses and cosmic whispers. Venus hums in a trembling frequency, Mars emits a slow, steady heartbeat. Even our Earth sings, its atmosphere creates resonant tones known as Schumann resonances, a natural symphony between the planet's surface and the sky. When lightning flashes anywhere on Earth, it sends ripples through the planet's magnetic field, and those ripples circle the globe endlessly, creating a song of home, a sound that every living creature on some level can feel. Perhaps that's why certain sounds, thunder, ocean, waves, rain, feel so comforting. They resonate with the Earth's natural rhythm, reminding your body of where it came from, reminding you that you belong. And here's the beautiful thought, the same principle applies to the stars. When galaxies spin, their matter moves through gravitational waves that vibrate space-time. We can't hear those ripples yet, but when we finally did detect them, from the collision of 2 massive black holes, astronomers described it as the faintest chirp, a brief tone that marked the birth of a new kind of astronomy. It was like the universe whispering, "I'm alive." And in that whisper was a kind of comfort, because if the universe can make music out of destruction, if 2 colliding black holes can produce harmony instead of chaos, then maybe everything, even the hardest moments, contains a rhythm worth listening to. So as you lie here, eyes closed, breathing softly, Know that your body is part of this grand symphony. Every breath adds to it. Every heartbeat is a note. Even your thoughts create tiny ripples that join the cosmic resonance. The ancient mystics used to say, the universe was born from sound, the primordial vibration, the sacred syllable, the OM. Modern physics, in its own language, suggests something similar, that fluctuations in the quantum field birthed everything we see today. A soundless vibration that created stars, galaxies, life. A hum that never stopped. Maybe that's what peace really is. Not silence, but harmony. Not the absence of sound, but the alignment of all frequencies. When your thoughts slow, your breathing deepens, and your mind begins to synchronize with that background hum, you are tuning yourself to the universe's original music. That's why deep meditation feels like floating, why sleep feels like dissolving. You are rejoining the melody. Somewhere beyond the limits of hearing, beyond even the speed of light, the cosmos continues to play. A song older than stars, composed by gravity and time, echoing endlessly through the corridors of space. And you, lying here, calm and quiet, through your stillness, through your rest, through the silence that's never really silent at all. So, as your mind drifts deeper, let yourself imagine you're floating among the notes of this infinite composition. Each vibration a star, each pause a nebula, each slow tone the dream of a distant galaxy. You are surrounded by music, cradled by it, part of it. Let it move through you like the tide. Let it slow your pulse, ease your thoughts, carry you closer to sleep. And as the rhythm fades into the distance, you can feel the next story forming a softer, deeper layer of the mystery. Because if the universe has music, what else might it have? Echoes, memories, whispers of intelligence woven into the background noise. The kind of signals that make scientists and dreamers look up at the sky and wonder, are we listening to the universe, or is it listening back? Let that question linger gently in your mind as the sounds fade. Breathe in the quiet hum of existence. Breathe out the last fragments of wakefulness, and drift onward into the next dream, where mystery deepens, and the music of the stars becomes your lullaby. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to hear the universe speak back? To be sitting alone in a quiet room late at night, with the faint hum of computers around you, and suddenly, through the static of space, a signal appears. A whisper from somewhere no human voice could ever reach. Picture it, a vast, empty night, telescopes pointed skyward, giant dishes like open palms waiting to catch the rain of stars. The air still, the monitors glowing softly in the dark. Then a blip, a pattern, something that shouldn't be there, but is. You lean closer, the faint rhythm repeating, steady, deliberate, unnatural. Not the random crackle of cosmic radiation. Not the scattered chaos of pulsars or solar flares, but something that feels like intention. As if somewhere out there, someone or something has just whispered across eternity, I'm here. This is not fantasy. It has happened before. In 1977, a scientist named Jerry Emmon was working at Ohio State University's Big Ear Radio Telescope, part of a project listening for signals from deep space. For years, the telescope had captured nothing but noise, endless static, background, cosmic chatter. Then, on a warm August night, the signal appeared. It lasted exactly 72 seconds. Strong, clear, steady. Unlike anything ever recorded before, Emin printed the data, and in a moment of astonished disbelief, circled the sequence of numbers and letters on the page, scribbling a single word in the margin. Wow. It became known as the WOW signal, a mysterious radio transmission, never heard before, never heard again. Its origin, unknown. Its meaning, undeciphered. But its presence, was it a satellite? A military frequency? A reflected Earth signal? No, the source came from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius, a quiet patch of sky near the center of our galaxy. Too distant for any human craft, too structured to be natural noise. And then, like a dream fading after waking, it was gone. Imagine that moment, sitting in front of that screen, realizing that for 72 seconds the cosmos may have spoken to you, the line between science and wonder blurring completely. Since then, we've listened harder. Dozens of telescopes, hundreds of scientists, thousands of hours of data, and still no signal quite like that one. But other strange whispers have come. Fast radio bursts, brief, powerful pulses of energy, lasting less than a millisecond, yet bright enough to outshine entire galaxies. Some come once and vanish forever. Others repeat rhythmically, almost musically. One of them repeats every 16 days, as if keeping time with something we cannot see. Some of these bursts come from billions of light years away, meaning they left their source before our species even existed. And yet, they arrive now, touching our planet, our instruments, our curiosity. Like cosmic postcards sent across time. What if, somewhere beyond our perception, a civilization had found a way to speak not with words, but with frequencies? What if their music was not melody, but mathematics, not poetry, but pattern? Would we recognize it? Would we even be listening on the right channel? Here's something beautiful to think about. When we send our own signals into the stars, we're not just transmitting data, we're transmitting hope. In 1974, we sent the Arecibo message, a coded radio signal beamed toward a star cluster 25,000 light-years away. It contained simple information, the numbers 1 through 10, the DNA structure, a human figure, and the image of our solar system. It was a greeting, a handshake across infinity. It will take 25,000 years to arrive, and another 25,000 for a reply to come back. That means, if someone does answer, we will never hear it, but we sent it anyway. Because that's what humans do. We reach out into the dark, believing someone, somewhere, might be listening. Maybe that's what all of this is about, not just finding others, but remembering that we are part of something greater. Every time a signal crosses space, every time a radio wave touches another world, it becomes a reminder. We are not alone in the story of existence. There's a scientific concept called the cosmic background radiation. It's the faint afterglow of the Big Bang, the universe's first whisper, still echoing across space after 13.8 billion years. It hums everywhere, in every direction. Even the static between radio stations contains a trace of that ancient sound. So, when you listen to white noise, you're actually hearing the echo of creation, the first sound the universe ever made. And if you listen closely, if you close your eyes now, and imagine that soft static in your mind, you can almost feel it, the warmth of ancient energy, the pulse of existence itself, still moving through you. You are not separate from it. You are part of the same conversation. There's something hauntingly peaceful in that idea, that perhaps the universe is talking, just not in the language we expect, not in English or code or mathematics, but in patterns, vibrations, rhythms that mirror our own biology. Maybe that's why we feel comfort under the stars, why the night sky quiets our minds, because it speaks to us in the oldest language there is, the one we were born from. And maybe, just maybe, those strange signals we find aren't messages to us, but echoes of us, reflections of our own energy bouncing across time, reaching back from the far future. Our descendants, listening to the same silence, sending the same questions into the void, like a call and response across eternity. What if the universe is one enormous consciousness, dreaming itself awake, and every signal, every whisper, every burst of light is just another neuron firing in its infinite mind? If that were true, then perhaps every human thought, every breath, every dream is also part of that cosmic network, a single note in the grand communication of all existence. There's suspense in that, but also deep comfort, because if we are all connected, then nothing is ever truly lost. Not the signals we send, not the words we speak, not even the quiet moments we spend under the stars, wondering. It all travels somewhere. It all becomes part of the universe's story. So as you lie here now, with your breath slow and even, imagine that every exhale is a signal to, soft, invisible, but carrying meaning into the world, the signal of peace, the signal of rest. And somewhere, across an impossible distance, maybe something hears you and sighs in return. Drift deeper into that thought. Feel the space between your breaths widen. The stars above, quiet receivers. The world below your transmitter. In this moment, you are part of the cosmic dialogue. A listener, a sender, a dreamer, all at once. And as your consciousness fades toward sleep, know this: the universe is still humming, still whispering, still waiting. Every signal, every silence is just another heartbeat in the endless conversation of existence. Tomorrow, scientists will continue listening, pointing their antennas toward the unknown, searching for that next faint pulse, that next 72-second miracle, that next wow moment that reminds us the cosmos is not empty, but alive, and maybe, just maybe, listening back. So rest now. Let your breath join the hum of the universe. Let your mind drift among the frequencies of creation, because even as you sleep, you are part of the message, a gentle signal traveling forever through the stars. Have you ever looked at the stars and felt that strange, quiet pull, that feeling that someone or something might be looking back? It's a feeling as old as humanity itself, because long before telescopes, before science, before our maps of constellations and galaxies, our ancestors looked up, and they too wondered. The night sky was their greatest mystery. Every flicker of light, every drifting cloud, every strange shape in the heavens was a story waiting to be told. And perhaps it wasn't just imagination. Perhaps they were seeing something more. Imagine a night thousands of years ago. No cities, no lights, no noise. Only the endless desert, the whisper of wind over stone, and a sky filled with more stars than we could ever see today, each one burning silently above ancient beyond words. A map written in light dot in ancient Egypt. Priests stood atop temple roofs, wrapped in linen, their faces lit by torches and starlight. They believed the gods themselves sailed through the night sky, not as spirits, but as travelers in golden vessels. The god Ra crossed the heavens by day in his sun bark, and through the underworld by night, defeating chaos to rise again at dawn. But there were other stories, quieter ones. Stories of lights that moved against the stars, that came down from the sky, that hummed like wind through metal. Egyptian carvings depict strange discs above pyramids, wings of light, and figures descending from radiant shapes. Were they symbols or memories of something real? Travel east to the Sumerians, among the first civilizations to ever record the heavens. They called the beings from above the Anunnaki, great ones who came down from the stars to teach humanity. They brought knowledge, law, agriculture, mathematics. Their gods were not ethereal spirits. They were beings of light and fire. Descending from the sky, cylindrical seals found in Mesopotamian ruins show winged discs, and figures wearing helmets, standing beside shapes that look eerily like rockets. Coincidence, perhaps. But imagine being there, looking up at the same sky, and seeing something move, something luminous, something you could not explain. Would you call it a god, a messenger, or something beyond either? Now, listen to this. In 1945, in the Tassili Mountains of Algeria, archaeologists discovered cave paintings older than the pyramids. Among them were scenes of hunters, animals, and tall figures with oval heads and large black eyes. They were drawn, reaching down toward humans as if teaching or guiding. These figures were called the Great Martians by explorers, not because of proof, but because the resemblance was uncanny. Could those ancient artists have seen something in the sky that shaped their myths forever? Across the ocean, the Mayans built entire cities aligned with the stars. Their temples and pyramids pointed toward constellations and solstices with mathematical perfection that still baffles modern engineers. Their legends spoke of the Sky Brothers, beings of immense light, who descended in fire and taught them how to read time. Their calendar was more accurate than ours for centuries. How could they have known so much about the cosmos without ever leaving Earth? In Nazca, Peru, massive lines carved into the desert stretch for miles, geometric designs and animal figures visible only from the sky. Some believe they were offerings to the gods. Others think they were landing markers. But here's the strange part. The stones that form the lines were removed with such precision. The earth below them still resists vegetation after over 1,000 years, as if scorched. Then, in India, ancient texts called the Vedas describe celestial machines called the flying palaces powered by light and sound, capable of traveling across the heavens. The texts detail how they maneuvered, how they emitted a roaring wind, and how battles were fought in the sky using beams of energy. And these writings are thousands of years old. The Mahabharata, one of the world's oldest epics, even describes a weapon that unleashed a single projectile charged with all the power of the universe, a flash brighter than 1,000 suns, turning the world to ash. Modern readers have compared it to a nuclear explosion. Coincidence, or memory of something seen long before our recorded history began? You see, every ancient culture, from the Dogon tribe of Africa to the Hopi people of North America, spoke of sky teachers, visitors who descended from stars, shared wisdom, and promised to return. The Dogon, for instance, knew about the existence of Sirius B, a dense, invisible companion star, long before telescopes could have possibly detected it. They described it precisely: small, heavy, circling the brighter star in a long orbit. Science confirmed this only in the 20th century. How could they have known? Some say they remembered a story told by gods. Others say they remembered something they witnessed. But what if all these myths were fragments of one truth? What if humanity has been having the same dream for thousands of years? A shared memory of light in the sky, echoes of contact lost in time. Now breathe slowly. Imagine lying beneath that same ancient sky. The stars above haven't changed. They're the same lights the pharaohs saw, the same patterns that guided Mayan astronomers, the same constellations painted by the first humans on stone walls. And maybe those stars are still watching. Scientists today find ancient accounts eerily similar to modern UFO sightings: metallic disks, bright lights, sudden movements defying gravity. But they also find something else: peaceful purpose. The visitors rarely harm. They teach, they observe. They vanish like dreams fading at sunrise. So perhaps these weren't invasions. Perhaps they were reminders that humanity has always been part of something far larger, that we are the children of the stars, and occasionally the stars look back to see how we're doing. There's an old theory called panspermia, the idea that life on Earth was seeded from elsewhere in the cosmos, that comets or meteorites carried the building blocks of DNA across interstellar space, planting life wherever the conditions were right. If that's true, then our ancestors weren't wrong to look up and call the stars home, because in a very real way they are. And perhaps that's why the ancient world filled its temples with mirrors of the sky. The pyramids aligned to Orion's belt, Stonehenge to the solstice sun, Machu Picchu to the Pleiades. Every monument, every stone, was a way to remember where we came from, not just from Earth, but from the heavens themselves. Now close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the hum of ancient drums, the flicker of torches, the rhythm of chants echoing against stone. Those people are gone, but their questions remain, carved into rock, written in stars. Who are we? Where did we come from? And who was watching when the first human dared to dream of the sky? You might never find a certain answer, but perhaps the answer isn't meant to be certain. Perhaps it's meant to keep us looking, listening, wondering as they once did. So as you drift now, half awake, half dreaming, feel the weight of ages lift away. The stars above are the same ones they prayed to, the same ones that guided their journeys, the same ones that hum softly even now, calling you to sleep. And somewhere in the quiet between those stars, maybe the echoes of those ancient voices still travel, carried by light, crossing galaxies, whispering the same timeless truth. You are part of the universe, and the universe is part of you. Rest now, traveler of time and stars. You are home among the echoes of eternity. Have you ever wondered if all the stories from ancient temples to modern skies might be connected by something quietly watching us? Not in the way of fear or control, but like a patient observer, curious about how far we've come. Maybe you felt that strange pull before, driving home late at night, the road empty, a soft mist curling over the asphalt, and above you, a single light that doesn't move the way stars should. It drifts, pauses, and then vanishes, as if it realized you'd noticed. We've all had moments like that. Moments where reality feels a bit too thin, and the sky feels a bit too alive. Tonight, let's drift gently into the modern age of mystery, a time when science began keeping score, when radar replaced rumor, and when stories of the unknown started coming not from poets, but from pilots. It began in the summer of 1947. The war had ended. The world was rebuilding, and humanity's eyes were turning upward to rockets, to satellites, to dreams of leaving the Earth behind. But that same summer, something else was seen above the clouds. A pilot named Kenneth Arnold was flying his small plane near Mount Rainier in Washington. The air was crisp, the day clear, when he saw 9 bright objects moving in formation across the sky. He described them as silver discs, skimming like stones across water. When newspapers asked him to explain, he used a new phrase, one that would echo for decades: flying saucers. That was the spark. After that day, reports flooded in from across the world. Pilots, farmers, soldiers, all seeing lights that defied explanation. Radar operators detected objects moving faster than any aircraft known to man. And so began the era of investigation. The U.S. military launched Project Blue Book, an official effort to collect and analyze UFO reports. Over 12,000 cases were documented. Most were explained: weather balloons, reflections, misidentified stars. But hundreds remained unexplained, objects that accelerated instantly, changed direction mid-air, and vanished from both sight and radar without a trace. Even now, declassified reports describe pilots encountering glowing orbs that shadowed their aircraft, staying just out of range, as if studying them. Sometimes the objects would mimic flight patterns, turn when the plane turned, rise when it rose, descend when it descended, a silent dance between two intelligences. Imagine that feeling, high above the Earth, engine humming, alone in the dark blue of the upper atmosphere, and something luminous and silent, matching your every move. It's not fear you'd feel at first. It's awe, a sharp, pure awareness that you are not alone. Then came the Roswell incident, a stormy night, a crash in the desert, and a military recovery that sparked an entire generation of curiosity. The official story changed 3 times. Have you ever wondered if someone, somewhere out there, is trying to talk to us right now? Not through voices, not through light we can see, but through whispers hidden inside the fabric of the universe itself. It's an almost romantic idea that the cosmos is speaking, and we've only just learned to listen. But what if we've already been hearing the messages for longer than we realize? Imagine a night so clear you can see the Milky Way arching across the sky like a soft river of dust and diamonds. The world around you silent except for the hum of the earth itself, a faint vibration in the stillness, a rhythm that feels almost alive. Now imagine that somewhere out there, hundreds or thousands of light years away, another being is standing beneath another sky, perhaps wondering the same thing. Could anyone be listening? That question became one of humanity's greatest obsessions. And it's here, in the quiet pursuit of understanding that science and mystery intertwine most beautifully. When radio technology was born, it changed everything. Suddenly, for the first time in history, we had a tool that could not only send signals across oceans, but across the stars. And in 1899, Nikola Tesla claimed something strange. While experimenting with his radio transmitters, he said he detected repeating signals from outer space, patterns, pulses, too regular to be random. The world laughed. They said it was interference, the static of Earth. But Tesla wasn't convinced. He wrote that he believed it might be an attempt by intelligent beings from another planet to communicate. Decades later, when radio astronomy matured, scientists began detecting similar rhythmic bursts, fast, precise, repeating. They called them pulsars. At first, they too wondered if they were alien signals. One of the first pulsars, discovered in 1967, was even nicknamed, short for Little Green Men. It turned out pulsars were spinning neutron stars, dense cosmic hearts left behind after supernova explosions. But that doesn't mean they were meaningless. Because what if nature itself is the first communicator? What if the universe leaves messages not written in words, but in patterns, in light, in rhythm, in geometry? And then came 1977, a quiet August night in Ohio. An astronomer at the Big Ear Radio Telescope was scanning the sky for extraterrestrial signals. What he recorded that night lasted just 72 seconds. A signal stronger than anything they had ever received, narrow, focused, coming from the constellation Sagittarius. It was so unusual that the researcher circled it in red ink and scribbled a single word in the margin. Wow. The wow signal, as it's now called, has never been fully explained. It wasn't a satellite, wasn't a planet, wasn't a known human transmission. It appeared once, and never again. A single cosmic whisper that still echoes through scientific imagination to this day. Some believe it was a technical glitch. Others think it was a brief, intentional broadcast, a message sent across the void, hoping to be caught by someone awake enough to notice. And that's what makes it so haunting. Because what if it wasn't meant to be a conversation? What if it was just a signature? A way of saying, we were here. Years later, scientists began to send our own replies. In 1974, a radio message known as the Arecibo message was beamed toward a cluster of stars 25,000 light-years away. It carried information about our DNA, our solar system, and our species, encoded in binary ones and zeros, like a universal language of logic. Imagine that, a human voice turned into numbers, racing through the darkness of space for millennia. Perhaps one day being found by someone who will decode it and whisper softly, they were here. In the 1970s, the Voyager probes were launched, tiny golden ambassadors sailing beyond the solar system. Each carried a gold record, a time capsule of Earth, music, greetings in dozens of languages, the sound of waves, wind, a heartbeat, all the things that make us human somewhere in the black ocean beyond Pluto. Those records are still traveling, spinning silently, bathed in cosmic dust and faint starlight. Each one a sleeping message in a bottle, drifting between worlds. If one day someone finds it, they'll know we once looked outward with wonder, that even in our smallness, we reached for connection. But perhaps the most mysterious signals of all aren't the ones we've sent, they the ones we keep receiving in the last 2 decades. Astronomers have discovered fast radio bursts, brief, powerful flashes of energy that last just milliseconds, yet release more power than the sun emits in days. Some come from distant galaxies, some repeat, some follow no predictable pattern at all, and a few seem to come from directions where nothing visible exists. No stars, no galaxies, just empty dark. Are they natural? Possibly. Are they communication? We can't be sure. But when we listen to those signals, there's something profoundly humbling about it. Because maybe, even if they're not messages, they remind us that we're part of something far bigger. A universe that hums with energy, with rhythm, with something that feels almost intentional. Sometimes, I wonder if communication across the stars isn't meant to be understood, but simply felt, like music without lyrics, like wind across the face of the earth. Every star you see tonight is singing, not in sound, but in light, each one flickering with its own frequency, its own tempo, its own heartbeat. The universe is not silent. It's a symphony beyond hearing, a language older than time. Perhaps that's the real message. Not a coded sequence of numbers, not a call waiting for a reply, but a cosmic reminder that we are all part of the same melody. When you look up at the night sky, you are both the listener and the song. Your heartbeat is a rhythm in the same grand orchestra that plays across galaxies. The atoms in your body were born from ancient stars that once burned and died so that you could exist here, now, to wonder. And as you drift closer to sleep, feel that connection humming softly within you. You don't need to decode it. You don't need to understand. It's already part of you, woven into your breath, your pulse, your dreams. The universe speaks in light, and tonight you are listening. So close your eyes and imagine the wow. Signals still traveling through the darkness, still echoing beyond galaxies, still waiting for an answer that might simply be your silent awe, your heartbeat in the quiet night, whispering back. We are listening to. Have you ever wondered what happens to time when you sleep? That strange sensation when hours vanish in an instant, when you close your eyes for what feels like a heartbeat, and suddenly the sun has risen again. It's a mystery we've all lived through every night. A little experiment in time travel hidden inside our own bodies. But what if sleep is not so different from the way space and time bend in the universe? What if, in the quiet darkness of our dreams, we're already practicing what it feels like to drift through the cosmos? Picture yourself lying in bed, the world outside your window wrapped in velvet dark, a faint hum of city lights, or the soft pulse of crickets in the distance. Your breath begins to slow, your heartbeat steady and even, your body releasing its hold on gravity just a little more with each exhale. Somewhere between waking and sleep, you feel the edges of yourself blur, the boundary between body and space softening like a candle flame merging into shadow. This is the borderland, the same threshold where astronauts drift between day and night every 90 minutes, where up and down no longer exist. Now, imagine that instead of lying in your bed, you're suspended in orbit, a quiet cocoon of metal drifting around the Earth. Outside your window, the curve of the planet glows faintly blue, and beyond that, infinite black dot, no air, no sound, just stillness in space, astronauts experience something called temporal dissonance. Their sense of time becomes elastic. The sun rises and sets 16 times a day. Their days are measured not by clocks, but by cycles of light and darkness that flicker by like dreams. And yet, inside their minds, they feel moments stretch and collapse, as though consciousness itself is floating untethered. Sound familiar? It's the same feeling that happens when you fall asleep. Science tells us that our brains generate different rhythms during sleep, waves of electrical activity, each one slower than the last, each one a little deeper, like descending through invisible layers of atmosphere. Beta waves become alpha, alpha becomes theta, and finally, delta, the slowest, deepest, most peaceful rhythm of all. At that depth, your body forgets the world. Your temperature drops. Your heartbeat becomes the quiet ticking of a faraway clock. Your consciousness drifts through a landscape that obeys none of the laws of waking life. It's in this state that the boundaries of time begin to fade. Minutes can feel like hours. Hours can vanish in seconds. You dream of things that happen out of order, events that repeat or reverse, faces that blur and reform. It's not chaos. It's space-time rewritten by your own mind. When Einstein described relativity, he said, "Time is not absolute. It bends, stretches, and slows, depending on where you are and how fast you're moving." To an observer near a black hole, a minute might last forever. To the person falling in, it passes in a blink. When you sleep, your brain creates its own version of this phenomenon. Your perception of time dilates. Your inner universe folds and unfolds around you. You are the traveler, and the dream is your cosmos. Now imagine drifting deeper. You're floating in a dream, but it doesn't feel like a dream. It feels real. You're walking across an endless field beneath 2 moons. You can hear a wind, see constellations rearranging themselves like fireflies. You know it's impossible, but you don't question it. In dreams, belief bends just as easily as time. Your brain, in its silent genius, is performing one of the most complex acts in the known universe, simulating reality. When you dream, neural networks in your visual cortex light up like stars, firing patterns almost identical to when you're awake. Your mind builds worlds, populates them, and lets you explore. You are both the creator and the traveler, the architect and the astronaut. Some scientists believe this nightly simulation serves a purpose, a way for the brain to reorganize memories, to process emotion, to test out possible futures. But others, the ones who love the poetry of science, believe it's something more profound. They think that dreaming is consciousness expanding, reaching beyond the physical, exploring the potential dimensions of the self. That when you dream, you're touching the same mystery that makes galaxies spin, the same unknown that hides behind black holes and dark matter. Because what if, just like the cosmos, your mind, too, is infinite? There's a phenomenon astronauts report after long missions called the overview effect. It's a profound shift in awareness that happens when you see Earth from orbit, a blue marble, fragile and alone, floating in a sea of darkness. Many describe it as spiritual. Some weep. Some say it changed them forever. What if dreams are our version of the overview effect? A nightly reminder that we are not just minds in bodies. but universes of thought and feeling, spinning through space and time. You see, sleep is not escape. It's participation. Your body rests, but your consciousness roams. And maybe, when you dream of flying, or of light, or of faces you've never met, it's not imagination at all. Maybe it's a reflection, a brief alignment between your inner cosmos and the greater one beyond. Some physicists have begun to wonder if reality itself behaves like a dream. The universe, they say, might be a kind of hologram, a projection of information, patterns of energy and vibration woven together by observation itself. If that's true, then your perception, your awareness, isn't just part of the universe. It creates it, in that sense. Sleep and wakefulness are simply two versions of the same miracle, two ways of looking at the infinite through open eyes and closed ones. Maybe that's why so many ancient cultures viewed dreams as gateways, sacred passages between worlds. The Aboriginal peoples of Australia called it the dream time, the place where creation began. In ancient Greece, temples of healing invited the sick to sleep and dream, believing the gods would whisper cures. Even in modern times, scientists map the brain and find in its waves the same elegant symmetry that exists in the spiral arms of galaxies, microcosm and macrocosm, one reflected in the other. So tonight, as you sink deeper into the warmth of your bed, remember this: you're not merely falling asleep. You're re-entering the current of the universe itself. Every breath you take is synchronized with cosmic rhythm, a small echo of the expansion and contraction of space-time. Your heartbeat mirrors the pulse of distant stars, and as your consciousness begins to drift, imagine that each dream is a kind of voyage, a soft slip through dimensions, a nightly journey through folded time. There's no rush, no destination, just the endless unfolding of wonder. The scientist within you observes. The dreamer within you sails. And together, they write the quiet story of being alive, a story that hums between neurons and nebulas alike. So close your eyes now. Let the weight of your body fade into the mattress. Let the ticking of time dissolve into stillness, because out there, time is bending, and in here, you are too. Sleep and drift through the black. You are not falling, you are floating, through space, through time, through the boundless quiet of everything that ever was and ever will be. And somewhere in that darkness, you are both the dreamer and the dream. There are moments when the night feels watched, when the air is still yet alive, as though unseen eyes blink softly beyond the horizon, just waiting for us to notice. You've felt it too, haven't you? That eerie, inexplicable awareness that stirs beneath the silence of a moonlit sky. Maybe you were alone by a window, staring into the darkness, and something aflicker, a shimmer, made your pulse hesitate. Maybe it was nothing, or maybe it was something watching back. Throughout history, millions of people have reported seeing lights that defied logic. They hovered, shifted, and vanished without sound. They danced over deserts, skimmed above oceans, and even followed airplanes through turbulent skies. From shepherds in ancient Mesopotamia to modern pilots with radar footage, the story is the same. A feeling that we are not alone. But what if there's more to this than myth or mania? What if the truth hides not in distant planets, but inside our very perception, the delicate machinery of our brains that builds the world we think we see? Let's begin where science meets shadow. In 1952, at the height of the Cold War, Washington, D.C.'s air traffic controllers witnessed glowing orbs appearing and vanishing on their radar screens. Jets scrambled to intercept them. The objects accelerated faster than any known aircraft, then disappeared as if swallowed by the night itself. The press went wild. Flying saucers over Capitol. The headlines screamed. But when scientists reviewed the data, a quieter explanation emerged. Temperature inversions. Thin layers of warm air trapped above cool air can bend radar signals, creating phantom echoes that appear as solid objects. The eyes of the radar lied, and the world believed. That doesn't explain the witnesses who saw them with their own eyes, does it? The shimmering lights, the synchronized motion, the eerie silence. You see, our brains are remarkable storytellers. They stitch together fragments of sensory data to create a seamless version of reality. But sometimes, in the dark, the stitching frays, when you gaze at the night sky, your eyes shift between stars, your pupils expanding and contracting. In that tiny movement, light from distant stars can seem to jump. Faint clouds reflect city glow, appearing to pulse or drift. Even the rhythm of your own heartbeat can make faint points of light seem to tremble. The mind, ever eager to interpret patterns, translates these signals into something extraordinary. It's called pareidolia, the tendency to see meaning in randomness. Faces in the moon, shapes in clouds, figures in the stars. It's a survival mechanism, the same instinct that once helped early humans spot predators in the dark. But here's where it gets strange. When the brain can't explain what it's seeing, it fills the gaps with imagination, and imagination, especially in the half-dreaming state between wakefulness and sleep, is powerful enough to feel real. Now, picture this: a lonely road stretching through desert night, headlights slicing through the void, radio static whispering like ghosts. You're tired, your eyes dry from hours of focus, your mind adrift. Then you see it, a bright orb hovering over the mountains. It follows you, silent, unwavering. You feel your chest tighten, but that light, it's the planet, Venus, its brightness distorted by the thickening air at the horizon. Its steady position made to seem like motion because of the way your brain interprets parallax. Yet in that moment, it's more than a planet. Its presence, its mystery. It's the unknown looking back, and still, not all can be explained away, because some sightings are captured not by eyes, but by instruments, infrared cameras, military sensors, synchronized radar. The Pentagon has quietly acknowledged that some unidentified aerial phenomena defy our current understanding of physics. Objects with no visible propulsion, moving against wind, changing direction instantly, as though inertia were optional. What are they? Advanced drones, atmospheric plasma, or something else? Physicists propose one possibility that bends the mind: quantum mirages. Under rare electromagnetic conditions, light itself can refract in layered atmospheres to create moving, three-dimensional illusions, ghosts of real objects displaced across space. A craft seen hundreds of miles away could appear directly overhead, bending not only light, but time delay, a flickering image from moments ago. Hovering in your now reality, it seems, is more fluid than we imagine. But there's another layer, a quieter, more personal one. Psychologists studying alien encounters found that many occur during states of sleep paralysis, that fragile borderland between dreaming and waking where the body cannot move, yet the mind is alert. In that state, the brain's visual and auditory centers are still half asleep, projecting fragments of dream imagery into waking perception. Figures appear in the room. Shadows move. A feeling of presence, intense, intelligent, other, fills the space. Many cultures once described these moments as demon visitations or ancestral spirits. Today, we call them abductions, but the emotion is the same: awe, fear, and a strange, undeniable certainty that something real has happened. And maybe, in a way, it has. Because emotion is real. Perception is real. If the brain creates an experience vivid enough to alter belief, then that experience leaves a mark as tangible as any encounter. Still, some researchers refuse to stop there. They look at recurring patterns in sightings, the same shapes, the same behaviors, the same magnetic anomalies, and wonder if perhaps there's a middle ground between physics and psychology. What if UFOs are neither ships nor hallucinations, but manifestations, temporary bridges between observer and environment, birthed from consciousness itself? Quantum theory whispers that observation shapes reality. Particles remain in uncertain states until watched. Could mass human attention, focused on the mystery of the skies, create temporary patterns of light and motion, a shared dream projected onto the physical world? It sounds poetic, but then again, so does the universe. Listen closely now. The wind outside your window moves gently through unseen layers. Clouds slide past the moon like dark continents. Above them, satellites spin, tiny, cold, metallic eyes mapping the earth in silence. If you could float beyond the atmosphere, you'd see a web of light surrounding our planet. Communication lines, radio pulses, digital thoughts, a glowing nervous system of humanity itself. And maybe, just maybe, something is watching from the other side of that web, curious about the flickering minds that built it. Perhaps the real silent observers are not aliens at all, but ourselves, humanity, peering into the cosmic mirror, seeing its own reflection, staring back with wonder and fear. Because, in every UFO story, beneath every bright mystery, lies a deeper truth, that we are desperate not to be alone. That somewhere inside, we long for acknowledgement from the vastness, a sign that consciousness is not confined to Earth, and maybe that longing itself is the beacon. Maybe when enough minds yearn for connection, the universe listens. So tonight, as you lie beneath your ceiling of stars, let your thoughts drift toward that infinite dark. Imagine distant civilizations studying their own skies, searching for signals, whispering the same question: is anyone out there, somewhere light years away? Another consciousness may be asking too, and perhaps, in the folds of space-time, those questions meet like ripples crossing in a cosmic pond. Maybe that's what a UFO truly is, not a visitor, but an echo of a question shared across galaxies, a reflection of curiosity made visible for an instant before vanishing back into mystery. So close your eyes now. Breathe in the quiet hum of night. Let your imagination lift you beyond gravity, past the thin blue shell of atmosphere, into the dark sea where silence reigns. There, in that stillness, know that you are both observer and observed, dreamer and dream. For even if the stars never send us visitors, they've already sent us a message that we are made of them, that their light burns within our atoms, their memory written in our DNA. You don't need proof that we are not alone. You are the proof. Sleep now beneath the gaze of the silent observers. They are not out there. They are within you, the stardust that watches itself dream. Have you ever woken from a dream so vivid, so hauntingly specific, that for a moment you couldn't tell which world was real, the one inside your mind, or the one beyond your closed eyelids? Maybe you saw faces you've never met, landscapes no map could ever hold, or voices speaking words that felt older than time itself. Sometimes, when you wake, those fragments linger like radio signals fading through static, and you wonder, where do these dreams come from? Are they echoes of memory, or whispers from something greater, something listening back through the very fabric of the universe? Picture yourself now, lying under the night sky, your body calm and weightless against the mattress, breath slowing, mind floating between waking and sleep. Above you, invisible waves hum softly, radio transmissions, quantum vibrations, particles blinking in and out of existence, like microscopic fireflies, somewhere out there, beyond the reach of telescopes and language. A field stretches endlessly, a quantum field, the silent sea of potential that underlies everything, every atom, every photon, every thought arises from this infinite ocean. It's not just emptiness. It's the canvas of reality itself. And according to some physicists, it might even remember you. In quantum physics, nothing truly sits still. Even a vacuum, what we call empty space, is alive with invisible fluctuations, energy flickering in constant birth and disappearance. Particles emerge, dance for an instant, and vanish again, creating a universal hum beneath everything that exists. Imagine consciousness not as something produced by the brain, but as something that interacts with this invisible ocean. Your thoughts are waves. Your emotions are vibrations. Your awareness, like a pebble dropped into this infinite pond, creates ripples that extend across space-time. Some scientists call this idea quantum consciousness. It suggests that what we think and feel might not be confined to our skulls at all, that awareness could be woven into the same field that carries starlight, gravity, and possibility. If that's true, then maybe dreams are not illusions. Maybe they're conversations. Let's drift a little deeper in laboratories. Researchers have observed something astonishing. When two particles become entangled, they behave as one, no matter how far apart they travel. Change one, and the other reacts instantly, even if separated by galaxies. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. Modern physics calls it entanglement. But what if consciousness can also become entangled? What if, through emotion or intention, two minds or two species can resonate across the quantum field? The idea may sound ethereal, but even NASA-funded studies are beginning to explore how human intention might subtly influence particles and fields. When you dream, your brain generates electromagnetic patterns, waves that can be measured, tiny but real. Now imagine billions of people sleeping, their minds releasing frequencies into the shared field of the planet. Could those signals overlap, blend, create harmonics, a kind of collective dream frequency? And if they could, could something else respond? Ancient cultures believed the dream world was not separate from the physical one, but another layer of the same fabric. The Aboriginal Australians called it the dream time, a timeless realm where spirits communicate through visions. The ancient Egyptians saw dreams as messages from gods, transmitted through the stars. In Tibet, monks practiced dream yoga, training themselves to awaken within dreams and use them to travel other planes of reality. Modern neuroscience, while grounded in biology, has found strange overlaps. During REM sleep, the brain lights up in ways remarkably similar to states of deep meditation or spiritual trance. In both cases, the boundary between self and universe blurs. The sense of I dissolves into something larger. Some scientists suggest that the dreaming brain might momentarily tap into patterns that exist outside the individual, like tuning into a cosmic radio. What if those patterns aren't random? What if they carry information, data, emotion, or even contact from the broader quantum field itself? You see, every living thing, every star, planet, atom, exists within this vibrating field. If intelligence exists elsewhere in the universe, it too must rise and fall within the same waves. Communication might not require light years of travel. It might not come as ships or signals at all. It might come as impressions, thoughts that drift into dreams, symbols shared between consciousnesses, entangled across the stars. Maybe that's why so many people throughout history have dreamed of beings descending from light, of messages written across the sky, of voices saying, "We are with you." Are these coincidences? Or are they fragments of an ancient conversation still ongoing in the quiet between our heartbeats? In 2016, a group of physicists proposed a breathtaking theory that consciousness itself may be a fundamental property of the universe, not an emergent one. In other words, the cosmos might be awake. If that's true, then perhaps our dreams are the universe's way of whispering to itself through us, like waves carrying messages across an endless sea. When you dream, your mind might momentarily align with deeper cosmic rhythms, tuning into what one researcher poetically called the background music of reality. That background hum, recorded faintly by radio telescopes as cosmic microwave radiation, is the echo of the Big Bang, a whisper from the moment creation began. Every night, your mind might drift close to that echo, listening, remembering. Now imagine this. You close your eyes. The world fades. Your breathing slows into rhythm with your heartbeat. At the edge of sleep, the last flicker of consciousness stretches outward, a thread of awareness reaching into the unseen field. Somewhere far away, another mind, alien, ancient, or perhaps human but distant, reaches to two ripples meet. For a fraction of a moment, information passes, not words, not sound, but feeling, a knowing, an image of light expanding into infinity. Then you wake. You remember nothing specific, only a strange calm, a fleeting warmth, as though someone, somewhere, had been with you in the dark. Could that be coincidence? Or communication? No one can say, but in that question lies something beautiful, that the universe may not be silent after all. It may simply speak in a language older than sound. So tonight, as you drift toward sleep, let your thoughts soften into vibration. Imagine your consciousness like a single note in a vast symphony, your dreams a gentle harmony within the quantum choir. You are not an island of thought floating alone in space. You are part of a field, connected, resonant, awake. When you breathe, you are speaking with the cosmos. When you dream, you are listening to it. And if you feel, deep in your bones, that someone or something hears you, you might be right, because perhaps the universe dreams too. And you, tonight, are one of its dreams. The silence around you grows softer, like velvet wrapping around starlight. The night hums, alive yet infinitely calm. And as you fade deeper into rest, know that you are woven into everything, a consciousness connected through time, space, and possibility. Sleep peacefully now, listening to the whispers from the quantum field. Imagine yourself in a dim laboratory in the early 1960s. The air hums with the soft rhythm of tape recorders, the faint smell of ozone and typewriter ink. Outside, the Cold War shadows stretch across the planet. Governments chase any knowledge that might grant an edge, including the mysterious power of the human mind itself. Inside this small room at the Maimonides Medical Center in Brooklyn, volunteers sleep beneath clusters of sensors, their eyelids twitching beneath electrodes. In the next room sits a Sendera painter, a poet, or sometimes a scientist, staring at a randomly chosen image sealed in an envelope. When the sender opens it, they gaze for 20 minutes, concentrating, breathing slowly, as if trying to project the picture through time and flesh into the dream of the sleeper. The moment the subject drifts into REM sleep, the researchers whisper into the red glow of the lab. Begin transmission. Night after night, it continues. When the dreamers wake, they speak of colors and shapes they shouldn't know. A red balloon, a burning cathedral, a field of horses beneath a silver moon. When the sketches are compared, the matches are uncanny. The scientists call it dream telepathy. The results, published quietly in obscure journals, stirred whispers of something extraordinary. If minds could exchange symbols while asleep, perhaps consciousness itself was not confined within the skull, but woven through a larger network, a human internet that existed long before machines. But soon, funding evaporated. The Cold War moved on to rockets and radar, and the studies slipped into obscurity. Still, a few of those researchers carried the question like a secret flame, because sometimes, in the data, the impossible looked almost ordinary. Fast forward to the 1970s, out in the Nevada desert, under classified skies, another team works in silence. They are not psychologists this time, but military men. The project's name will one day leak: Stargate. Their goal is to explore remote viewing, seeing across distance without eyes, reading sealed coordinates, finding lost objects by thought alone. Behind the jargon lies the same ancient impulse, the belief that minds can reach each other through the dark. One night, a subject reports something unusual. He describes a metal sphere floating above the earth, filled with blinking panels and people in uniforms. The date, 1973. The object he describes, a year before it existed, matches the first sketches of the Soviet Salyut 4 space station. Coincidence? Guesswork? Or a whisper from the quantum field itself? Science insists on replication, on evidence. Most of these experiments fade under scrutiny, yet the pattern remains. When humans focus with shared intention, whether to send an image, a thought, or comfort, tiny anomalies appear in random number generators, in heart rate synchronizations, in magnetometers measuring the Earth's field. Small, subtle ripples, as if consciousness is a pressure system and emotion is wind. Could collective dreaming be the same phenomenon at night? Billions of pulses mingling, tuning, resonating. Could alien contact, as some whisper, arrive not by craft but by coherence, an alignment of minds that allows information to pass between distant civilizations through the same universal medium that binds entangled particles? Let's return to that laboratory night, but this time it's you lying beneath the sensors. You feel weightless, the hum of the machines fading into your pulse. Somewhere beyond the wall, another person sits in darkness, breathing in rhythm with you. They are staring at an image they've never seen before, spiral galaxy, perhaps, or the outline of an unfamiliar constellation. They focus on it with quiet devotion. As your breathing deepens, faint flashes bloom behind your eyelids, streaks of silver, a swirl of blue, a sound like wind in an empty canyon. You're not sure whether you're dreaming or remembering. Then a whisper, not a voice, but an understanding through the silence. We have always been connected. You wake, heart calm, certain of nothing, yet filled with a strange warmth, as if your mind has brushed against another across the invisible ocean of sleep. In the years that followed, the official world lost interest in such mysteries, but quietly, scientists at Princeton's Pear Laboratory continued to probe the boundary between mind and matter. They built random event machines, coin flippers powered by quantum noise, and asked volunteers to influence the output by sheer intention. Over millions of trials, the numbers drifted ever so slightly toward meaning, as if consciousness, that ghost in the code, could nudge probability. Even skeptics admitted the results were anomalous. A statistical ghost, haunting the edges of certainty. Could telepathic dreams operate on the same principle, not as words or pictures sent through distance, but as gentle nudges in probability inside another brain? A cascade of synapses ever so slightly rearranged by attention, until a stranger's image surfaces inside your sleeping mind. And then came the cosmic experiments. When Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell returned from space, he spoke of a feeling of unity so overwhelming it changed him forever. During his flight, he had quietly performed his own test, sending symbols telepathically to friends on Earth. The results were statistically improbable, tiny, but tantalizing. He founded the Institute of Noetic Sciences to explore the mind-matter frontier. Mitchell described space itself as an ocean of consciousness through which all things are connected. From orbit, he said, the separation between human and cosmos vanished. The Earth shimmered like a living thought. What if alien intelligence has always known this, that communication across galaxies requires no machinery at all, only resonance, alignment, attention? What if the signals we've been waiting for are already here, whispered through intuition, déjà vu, and dream? Now let the scene soften again. Outside your window, the world is quiet. Clouds drift like unspoken messages across the moon. You breathe in, slow and easy. The boundary between skin and air feels thinner, almost porous. Within that stillness, imagine countless other minds breathing to pilots on night watch. astronomers at lonely observatories, children half asleep across continents, each one a transmitter and receiver, radiating thought into the same dark sea. Maybe communication has never been about distance, but density, how deeply we listen, how openly we feel. Maybe the true technology of the future will not be antennas or satellites, but consciousness trained to harmonize, to send compassion as clearly as we send light. A century ago, Nikola Tesla wrote, "When wireless is perfectly applied, the whole earth will be converted into a huge brain." He believed thoughts could travel through the ether once science learned the correct frequency. He imagined towers of resonance connecting every soul on earth. He was thinking of electricity, but perhaps he was also dreaming of us, of this age, where billions of minds already share images and emotions across invisible waves every moment of every day. If human technology can do this with machines, what might the universe achieve with consciousness itself? Close your eyes again. Let the idea settle gently, that thought is light, that dream is signal, that love itself might be the carrier wave of creation. Perhaps that is why empathy feels instantaneous, why you think of a friend seconds before they call, why collective grief or joy seems to move through crowds like current. It is all the same transmission, echoes of contact bouncing through the living field of awareness. And when we finally meet another intelligence, maybe it will not arrive in ships at all. Maybe it will arise from within a sudden alignment of thought across species, a shared realization blooming like dawn. The clock ticks softly. Somewhere a satellite drifts through night, its sensors blind to the one thing it was never built to measure. The quiet conversation of souls. You, lying here, are part of that conversation. Each breath, each thought, a gentle Morse code tapping across the quantum fabric. Sleep now. And if a dream arrives carrying an unfamiliar face or a distant voice, do not be afraid. It may be only your own curiosity returning to greet you. Or perhaps, just perhaps, someone answering back.